Stardate 7302. A couple of things. One, due to morning duties this morning, I am just in pajamas all day. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Yeah. And two, I just wanted to clarify that there will be no challenges for the captain maid just because she has a legitimate reason for not making Stardate vlogs. She is in the process of moving to new quarters on the ship. And, I mean, obviously the captain doesn't just deserve one little room for quarters, she deserves an entire wing. So that's what she's getting. She's getting an entire wing of quarters. She's so lucky, I wish I were captain, but I'm not. Anyway, that wasn't passive aggressive at all, was it? Yes, it was. Dylan asked, yes, on Sunday, it was Sunday, he asked. On Sunday, he asked, what are my favorite Star Trek series in order? And that's really easy for me. Unlike Dylan, I grew up a Trekkie. My parents were big Trek fans. From the moment they were kids, they were Trek fans, both of them. They both loved the original Star Trek series, and then when the new Next Generation came out, they were all thrilled. And I remember seeing almost every single Star Trek film that came out while I was alive in theaters. So definitely, definitely a Star Trek fan. I think I remember seeing uh, Wrath of Khan when I was like 5 years old on TV with my parents. So, because all I remember was a specific death scene in Wrath of Khan. I'm not gonna spoil anything, so you know, a specific death scene that officially kind of made me a Trekkie. But anyway, my favorite order of series, and it's kind of different than most people, I think. Um, Definitely my favorite is The Next Generation. A lot of people tend to like Voyager best, but Voyager's my second favorite series. So it was Next Generation, Voyager, Deep Space Nine, Original Trek, and then Enterprise. And Enterprise is like way down there. Enterprise is not a good Star Trek series. I always tell people, like, when people ask me about how I feel about Enterprise, I always say, because anytime people find out I'm a Trekkie, their immediate reaction is, well, what do you think about Enterprise? Enterprise isn't a Star Trek series. It's labeled Star Trek. It's kind of how I feel about G Gundam too, in all reality. If it weren't labeled Star Trek, it would be really cool. But it's labeled Star Trek. And Trekkies have a specific kind of formula that needs to be followed. And it just fell short of that a lot. You know, some others kind of tried different formulas as well, but they all seemed to work. So that that's how I feel. So Next Generation, Voyager, Deep Space Nine, Original Trek, Enterprise. Really easy for me. The only ones that are close are Voyager and Deep Space Nine because I really like Deep Space Nine. I know a lot of Trekkies who don't like Deep Space Nine. I love it. I thought that it was a really cool kind of break from the normal formula. And unlike Enterprise, the formula worked for me and for my parents too. My parents really liked Deep Space Nine too. So those would be my favorite Star Trek series in order. Each one has its own reason I love it. Next Generation being, you know, its characterization. I love the Locutus of Borg scene. It's my favorite scene in all of Star Trek. Even beats out the death scene in Wrath of Khan. And then in Voyager, I like the fact that there's a female captain and a very strong female captain. As you guys know, strong female characters make or break a series for me in anything. Um, Deep Space Nine, I really liked the fact it was about a space base instead of an exploration ship. And then Original Trek, obviously, I just love the cheesiness of it. I love how badly it was done. There's just some charm to it because of that. And then Enterprise, there really wasn't anything spectacular as far as Star Trek was concerned. I mean, it's spectacular as far as sci-fi is concerned. Did a lot of cool things, but it just fell short for Star Trek. So that's where I stand on all of that. And my question for David is, if you have seen Star Trek, who is your favorite captain? And if you haven't seen Star Trek, I'm sure you've heard about it. So who do you think would be your favorite captain? Even if you have to do a little bit of research on who each captain kind of is and where they stand, I want to know like either who is your favorite captain or who you think would probably be your favorite captain if you were to actually watch Star Trek. So those are your two questions, and I will see you guys next week. And David, we will see you tomorrow.